Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. Venice and Telluride are going on as we speak, as we sit here. We got a lot of shit happening this week, and it's very exciting, and it's very crazy. And, some of it has me rolling around on the floor. It's one of the most exciting parts of the year where all these films that have been on our list start premiering and people start talking about them, and we have not too many reactions to go from, but most of these movies have reviews from the major outlets. They have maybe 10 Metacritic reviews or more. Some early Letterboxd stuff, but it's hard to tell. The charts look a little weird. They're still taking shape. Let's start off with the film that started it all. That just started making us scream and wail. There's no pun intended because there is no pun, because I'm not talking about the whale. We're talking about Bardo. This was riding so high on people's lists. I heard through someone else that Netflix was confident, that they were pretty assured that this was going to be a cinematography contender and then play in all the categories. And this was their big horse. 10 nomination Netflix movie. Inarritu won 2 Oscars back to back for the last 2 movies that he did, and this one We predicted this would get upper 80s on Metacritic. We're fucking wrong. We're absolutely
the last video we did, I
destroyed.
said 89 on Metacritic.
Idiots.
I'm not gonna call myself an idiot.
We all messed up. Some people probably have bragging rights, but probably not most of us.
Most of us are sitting here with our heads hung and why? How could this go wrong? How could we just?
There are a couple people who do love the movie. I'm still open to loving the movie. I'm not gonna go into it thinking, oh, I'm gonna watch a flop. I'm gonna watch a bad movie. But in general, the consensus is that this is just a 3-hour self-indulgent movie that is just kind of confusing as to what it's going for. It's juggling too many things, and ultimately, Inarritu's trying to be Fellini and he's not pulling it off.
People really seem to think the running time's a problem here. I wonder if it's I see what you're trying to do and I'm just bored of it, or if it's I don't even know what you're trying to do, man.
This is around 50 on Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. It's not even ambiguous as to whether or not the reception's okay. It is not good.
Yeah, it's not I think he still could have pulled it off if some people loved this and it had, a 70 something on Metacritic and other people were divided. But this is not that. This is not the situation, folks. I just don't think this film can come back from that. People are saying that it's very well shot. It's a very beautiful looking movie, and that's kind of all the slack they give it before they start talking about
and the sound and really good sounding too.
Probably good production design
good
and just
it begs the question: can this survive anywhere? Because if you have this on in any major categories, I'm sorry, but you're coping. You're coping.
Oh.
This might not even get international feature. I'd be Mexico might not even submit it. The best shot it has, in my opinion, is still cinematography.
Honestly, I'm wondering if cinematography even survives.
Yeah, I'm thinking about taking it off.
I think it could still get nominated, though.
Yeah, maybe.
I want to see it myself. But I think the real question is, if this goes out on Netflix and bombs, how much do they even try? They're probably scrambling right now. Their whole campaign team's what do we do with this thing? Do we push it out for awards? Because if they don't even try, cinematography might not happen.
They're not going to try. There's no way. They have to focus on something else.
Yeah.
And that's the other question. What else? The past 3 years, they've gotten 2 movies in and had another movie close behind. You could have a reasonable top 10 without any Netflix movies in it right now. And maybe they're just unlucky this year. Maybe they thought Bardo was a thing and it just wasn't.
Well, I think that's what happened.
And maybe Glass Onion's a thing. We'll tell you at TIFF if it's a thing.
Yeah, here's what I think. It's hard to imagine Netflix doesn't get a movie. So if you're going to speculate the next thing, what are you going to say? What's next on the list?
It's Glass Onion.
It's Glass Onion. I honestly think it's Glass Onion.
It is Glass Onion.
Clearly at TIFF, they're trying to make it one of the big movies there. They're trying to make sure everybody sees it. And I think it could place.
But Bardo is
it's kind of done.
It's kind of out. It's kind of out. This is as big as a flop can get. This was there's 10 nominations. This is some Billy Lynn's halftime walk shit right here. There's no way it's Don't Look Up. It's not Don't Look Up. It's not going to appeal to audiences like that movie did. It's just not. White Noise premiered first. We can talk about that a little bit. Obviously, we didn't really talk about this in terms of Netflix's other contenders because it is, as we thought, a movie that not everybody's on board with. Actually, sort of interesting. The reviews are not as polarizing as I thought they were going to be. I thought people would be some people think it's a 9 or a 10 and they think it's a masterpiece that other people don't understand, and then other people hate it. Really what's happening, and you can see this on Letterboxd, really it's a lot of people who are in the middle, 6, 7, 8 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10, because they admire a lot about the movie, but it just is too much or it doesn't come together or whatever it might be.
At least the movie is getting positive overall reactions.
Yeah.
Another Netflix film that doesn't appear to be an awards contender. I don't think that's going to get any nominations.
Well,
but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I would say that it could get original song for the LCD Sound System song. I hear Danny Elfman's score is pretty good, but
Okay.
I think those are still outside shots. Next movie that was really big was Tar. Tar is a really interesting one because I change my mind on this one like every 5 hours in terms of how I think it's going to play, because Tar screened to great critic reviews. We're
Raves.
talking 90 on Metacritic.
Absolute raves.
Reviews. Kate Blanchett is getting like the raves of her career. And look at that
People
career.
are saying if you don't think it's her best performance, you probably think it's one of her best performances.
Yep, or at least like
So
tied.
she's definitely getting nominated.
She could win.
It seems she could win, and Tar could be an awards player all around. So it might not get Spencered, but it might get Spencered. But it might not get Spencered.
And what does this mean if you're out of the loop and you don't know what Spencered is? Because that's now been added in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. If you don't know what Spencered is, it's when a movie meets the same fate as Spencer last year, where it comes out of the festivals looking pretty strong. Like, hey, maybe this isn't going to be Jackie. Maybe it won't get Jackie. That's another term for another day. So we were wondering, is Spencer Jackie? People were saying, no, it's actually not going to be Jackie. And it was worse than Jackie.
Spencer starts underperforming because people just, general audiences aren't biting for whatever reason. Only gets actress at the end of the day, despite having a lot of areas where it could have gotten nominated, like costumes and score. It doesn't get nominated in those.
Even though some people say, I don't think it's going to be Spencer, it's like, that's what you said about Spencer. And a lot of people are saying, hey, awards pundits, like, just so you know, like, this is a cold, like, brutal movie, and it might not be an Oscars thing.
Yeah.
And I initially thought people are going to think that this is going to get a lot of nominations, and then it's going to do a Spencer. But now I'm kind of changing my mind on it. Like, I think that so many people love the movie that it doesn't need to appeal to everybody as long as it's some Academy members' favorite movies.
Yep.
And Todd Field is a person that's, had respected movies nominated for many Oscars. And this is like a grand achievement that people are calling like Kubrickian. Lots of long takes. Just a very well-crafted movie. You would definitely think that he could play in director, even if the movie's not in Best Picture. Like, he could play in director. I think if the movie gets in picture, he gets in director. That's just the kind of movie it is. An original screenplay, Bardo's out. This movie could be in.
Yeah, because the screenplay sounds really sharp. It sounds like there's a lot of dialogue-heavy scenes, almost like overbearingly so. The vocabulary of the script, people say, is almost hard to follow, but is very intoxicating. And there's a lot of talk of music theory. It gets very deep into the weeds of that. It really does seem like critic catnip. I mean, it kind of remains to be seen whether audiences can be like cool enough to watch the whole thing. Because Power of the Dog was a film where I said, I don't think that people in general are going to like this that much. And I was wrong because it seemed that the entire Academy was in love with Power of the Dog.
People are saying it's not for everybody, but I think it might be for enough people. That's the argument I would make right now.
And movies like Drive My Car can get in now, where you might think people aren't going to like it, but actually there's an appetite for it. I think it could be easy to say, with these reviews and with Cate Blanchett leading the film, it's definitely getting nominated. I'm hesitant to say that, though. It's a very critic movie. It's weird. It's unusual. It could be sort of an isolating movie.
Does it get text? I think that it maybe gets editing, but I don't really, because I think it won't be quite like a top 5 movie, but apparently the editing's very showy. Or sound or score, but I think score is going to Women Talking.
If critics start giving it all the awards, that's where I think it could actually be
it also
a top movie.
Is Focus Features' only real movie to push, so they can pretty heavily focus on this one and make it happen. Next, Women Talking exceeded expectations, it seems like. Women Talking was earlier rumored to maybe be, this is like about a tough subject matter. Maybe it's not a movie for everybody, but in fact, it seems like it's a pretty crowd-pleasing movie in a way, and it leaves you feeling hopeful. And the conversations resonate with the audience. The writing, like, this is winning adapted screenplay. Is there a competition? How? What? The Sun? The ensemble is said to be, like, the ensemble to beat for the rest of the year. All the women are amazing in it, and then Ben Whishaw. And when we're talking about acting nominations, in fact, it's not just Jessie Buckley, but it is Jessie Buckley. It's Jessie Buckley and Claire Foy, I think.
And Ben Whishaw.
Yeah, and Ben Whishaw in supporting actor. But I think we might be getting ourselves a double nomination here. I don't even know if there was only one, like if there were one, who it would be, because people have different takes on that. Like it might just be a favorite situation where they just go along together and they're like number 2 and 3. Like they're just both in there.
Yeah. Some people say it's hard to pick the favorite, and that's kind of important.
Yeah, and we're talking SAG Ensemble. This is clearly a lock for a SAG Ensemble nomination. Could win. Possible screenplay winner, a movie that a lot of audiences like, a movie that critics are eating up for the most part.
And what do we say about movies that could win screenplay, generally speaking? We say they can win Best Picture. Go ahead and say it with me. The reviews it's getting, it's like a 90 on Metacritic. They rave about the performances. They rave about the ensemble. That right there is a telltale sign of a potential Best Picture winner, when they're just saying, oh my god, so many great performances, such great writing.
It could win score too.
All it needs to win, yes, it could win score too.
It could win score too.
I think all it really needs to win Best Picture is picture and screenplay. And I know people are like, that's not enough. But this has happened with Spotlight. And it could happen with a film like this, unless it, wins director or a supporting actress award.
Supporting actress might be Michelle Williams.
Yeah, right. We're just thinking that's Michelle Williams, so we're like not saying that yet.
Also, it could win director, like definitely.
I guess
she might be number 1 for director. And I think it is an outside shot for cinematography. Some people don't love it.
It could be the kind of movie people love so much that they just nominate it in a bunch of categories that you don't even think. Yeah.
But from my count, I was thinking like 8 nominations is, that's enough. The question I have is, will this come out of the fall festivals as the front runner? I think right now I think it's top 2. Right now I think it's top 2. Also, that stat that I may have mentioned in another video about how only 2 of the Best Picture winners in the past 15 years have been from directors who have had films nominated before. Women Talking and Everything Everywhere are the only 2 that fit that, and I think those are my top 2 right now. I don't know what order they're in. You're gonna have to wait and see.
They're also what we think is gonna get nominated for screenplay,
possibly
or win screenplay. They're what we think is gonna win screenplay.
We also got Empire of Light. We did predict on our Metacritic predictions that this would not be the most acclaimed movie, but will be so bait and so undeniable in certain categories that it will get nominated, and we were pretty spot on about that. We were pretty spot on. Olivia Colman is getting nominated. We know that. It's happening. The score, Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross, that is happening. Okay, probably one of their more sentimental scores that they've done from what I'm hearing. The cinematography is Roger Deakins. That's just a shoo-in. That's a shoo-in. I'm actually hearing a lot about Michael Ward. I'm hearing a lot about Michael Ward. Some people think, he doesn't he's not quite matching Coleman. He won't get nominated. But I am looking at another vacancy in Best Actor because Cacho got out. And DiCaprio and Colin Domingo have gotten out. I'm looking at a vacancy. The studio wouldn't be that wrong to campaign Michael Ward in lead. Apparently he is lead. And if they campaign him there, I think he could get nominated, because some people are saying Olivia Colman's amazing, but Michael Ward almost steals the show. Also, Toby Jones in supporting might be a little bit of a... I don't know if he would... Yeah. I wouldn't put him in, but I think they could run a campaign for him.
The reactions to this film are very typical for an Oscar baity movie that's pleasing audiences.
Belfast-y reactions.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is about the power of cinema, and that's all you need to hear to say, okay, well, that's probably a Best Picture contender.
Tearjerker movie.
Now, not everybody likes it, though. Some people do have problems with it, and it's not going to be the critic's favorite movie of the year, as it seems.
It is probably not so much a director contender for that reason, and I think that in terms of original screenplay, you have movies like Triangle of Sadness and Tar that people might rather nominate because they're maybe more well-crafted. I don't think this movie necessarily needs director and screenplay to be nominated in picture.
Yeah.
I think that it's not a top 5 contender anyway. Couple texts, acting. Last really, really big one is The Whale. The initial reactions for this movie were oh my god, Brendan Fraser absolutely killed it. And he's just going to win. We're going to give him the Oscar. That's how this is going to go. The makeup's insane. He's in the makeup. Hugh Jackman's not in the makeup. And we're going to be giving him the Oscar. That's just what's going to happen. Very importantly, it is said to be a tearjerker. A lot of audiences were crying. A lot of sniffles. A lot of people really impacted by this movie. Later on, though, I've seen a lot more mixed reactions. And especially since this critics embargo broke, there have been more mixed reactions. And it's interesting because you do have, what we were seeing before, some of those reviews in the 9 to 10 range of people who really love it, but you also have people down in 60, 50, 40 territory. So they're actually pretty mixed, which is maybe not that unusual if you consider it's an Aronofsky movie. So the question's going to be, does Brendan Fraser's Best Actor front-running carry the movie in Best Picture? Do audiences like it enough because it's a tearjerker that it stays in?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think this is a divisive movie in the sense that Tar might be a divisive movie. The negative accusations are that it's too melodramatic and that not all the dialogue is working in every moment, and that there's a point in the movie where it becomes too obvious.
I've seen problems
Yeah.
with the score being
Problems with the
overbearing. Those are the kind of problems that critics have and that audiences are
May or
less
may not
likely to have,
yeah.
I think.
It's actually not an Aronofsky movie where people are going to be isolated from it. I think it's one that brings you in and wants you to feel very deeply. Most people, I think, will be into it. And that's why I think even though this might not break over like an 80 on Metacritic, might not be every critic's favorite movie of the year, the fact that you got Brandon Fraser possibly winning Best Actor, I think this could get into Best Picture. And it's going to win makeup.
And then there's a couple other question marks. Is adapted screenplay happening? I mean, a lot of people's biggest issue is the script. However, that is one of the more vacant categories. And if it is at all a Best Picture movie, I think they just kind of put it in because. And the other question mark, or rather maybe even two question marks, is supporting actress. There's been a lot of talk about how Sadie Sink is like tearing it up on the screen. But recently, and with a lot of the reviews, I'm seeing people say Hong Chau's the best in this movie. So I'm like, we got a little dilemma here. I don't think people are going to know who's getting nominated or what to do. And the studio might even struggle. And I am kind of on the fence. Like, I don't know who's out front, to be honest, anymore, because I'm hearing mixed things about if it's Hong Chau or Sadie Sink.
Sadie Sink's performance appears to be dividing people because the character she's playing is so acerbic and disagreeable and just mean, I think, to Brandon Fraser. Some people are feeling isolated from that performance. And not necessarily her performance being off-putting, but like maybe the character in general. I'm not saying like she's bad in it. If you're not as into that performance, you may really like Hong Chau's. She doesn't have this problem, and everybody's saying that she is great.
I have them right next to each other. At this very moment, I have Hong Chau right above.
Yeah.
But I also am wondering if supporting actress continues to be competitive, especially now that we have two women talking in there. What if this kerfuffle of these two and not knowing what to do, maybe they both sit out for this reason?
I actually think Hong Chau is ahead because Sadie Sink's character might just be off-putting to enough people, and they seem like equally good, so I'm just going to give the weight to Hong Chau.
And as far as Best Picture, I don't think this is a lock, but I think I would have it in right now.
Yeah, I think it's going to get Best Picture.
Because of the tearjerker element, I would have it in
well,
there.
because Brandon Fraser is Best Actor.
Yeah, and
Best
him
Screenplay.
winning. Just tacking onto this video, Banshees of Inisherin, because that just got reviews. It's getting raved. You know, we said in our Metacritic predictions, we were like, no one's not going to like this. Everyone's going to think it's good or very good. And that is the case, but, you know, I think the reviews are even better than we anticipated. Literally nobody is daring to go under a 7 with it because it is just that enjoyable. How could you not like this dark comedy with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson and McDonough dialogue? And I think this puts the movie in a pretty good position to get acting nominations. Colin Farrell in lead, Brendan Gleeson in supporting, and then McDonough getting another screenplay nomination. Adapted will be much more likely if that movie does go there. And then from there, does it get picture, or is it a Two Popes, Lost Daughter, Can You Ever Forgive Me type of situation? You know, not to suggest that anybody's locked in right now, but I'm still unsure. Because although the reviews are amazing, is it the kind of thing where people are like, oh, this needs Best Picture? Or is it like, we can just honor the writing and the acting? Is it like the most significant movie, or is it just like a very, very good movie? But it's worth noting, not every movie that gets very good reviews out of film festivals is necessarily going to become an awards movie, because if that were the case, well, then we're in for like 7 or 8 movies from the fall festivals in Best Picture, and that has not happened. Still thinking about Banshees and whether or not it's in Best Picture, I don't know yet. And Carrie Condon is getting some supporting actress buzz, but as we mentioned before, that category is looking like a bloodbath. Also, this is like just kind of happening now. I'm not gonna have time to wait more before putting this into the video, but don't worry, darling, it's starting to get reactions coming in. And they're not really that good. I don't think everyone's going to dislike it, but the reviews are definitely going to be mixed enough that we should not be expecting it to be an awards player at all. We got a few other movies that aren't really awards movies, it doesn't seem, but they're still very interesting, bones and all. Really good reactions to this movie. I think it has a 74 on Metacritic, but Rotten Tomatoes looks even better. Letterboxd has a nice stack of, like, there are a lot of people who are in the 9-10 range on this one, even as there are a lot of people in the 6-7 range. Great performances from Timothy and Taylor Russell. But I don't really see it as like an awards movie, but the genre might be a problem for people. And there are always good movies from festivals that don't end up being awards players. That's just kind of how I see this going. There's also Master Gardener from Paul Schrader. This actually got worse reviews than Card Counter and, well, definitely First Reformed. The Wonder is getting pretty good reviews. I haven't looked like too deep into it, but I don't think it's going to get like above an 80 on Metacritic or anything like that. But will be an interesting movie to look out for. And then finally, another movie that has an interesting reactions is Athena, is a French movie that Netflix has. People are saying the filmmaking, the cinematography, the sound, the camera work is like insane in this movie, especially apparently this opening long take. They're saying like the filmmaking is off the fucking charts, and then, you know, from there, maybe the story doesn't have so much substance, is what I'm hearing some people say.
It sounds like people are disappointed because the filmmaking is up here. It's like 10 out of 10, and then the story is kind of okay or subpar. But other people are saying this is one of their favorite movies at Venice. So I'm actually really excited. I'm definitely going to watch this one. This looks like it could be an international player, definitely.
Yeah, if France submits it, which we don't know.
Yeah. I do have to wonder if this could get cinematography hype, because it seems like it's definitely worthy. But unfortunately, the way things go is, if you're not in Best Picture conversation, sometimes you have a hard time getting Best Cinematography.
Or sound even. Like, what if Netflix pushes for sound?
It'd be nice if they did push it, because why shouldn't movies that have an achievement in cinematography but aren't like picture players get nominated there? I don't have a reason for that.
More movies to come. I know The Sun we're still waiting for, but we don't have time to wait for that. We got to put this video out now so we can get ready for TIFF. You can look forward to our TIFF coverage. We're going to be going very soon. The first movie we see should be Women Talking, if everything goes according to plan, so you get ready for that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Can you shove all these movies into your 10?